John Hall of Orleans reacts to that band having sometimes being voted the worst album cover of all time for the album Waking and Dreaming. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music.
Who came up with the idea? And I know you've heard it, worst album cover of all time, blah, blah, blah. But who came up with the idea, the concept for that album cover?
We were shooting a 2-hour photo session with a photographer that the label Asylum Records had chosen. And in his studio, he put down a masking tape strip about maybe 4 feet long and said, I want you all standing on this tape. So you have to interact. So we were all like smunched together and like an arm around each other, leaning against each other. And at the end of the 2 hours, he said, I got 2 shots left. Why don't you all take your shirts off? And so we did. And of course, those are the ones the record company chose. In fact, it's funny now because it's so mild compared to what album covers and videos have today. But Kmart wouldn't stock that record unless they airbrushed in the tops of our jeans. We all had jeans on, but they cropped the picture so you couldn't see them. And it looked like we were all naked, called it the naked album cover. But if you look closely, you'll see a little bit of the top of the blue jeans on me and Larry, and that's airbrushing. Today, with Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B, I don't know, and whoever the male equivalent would be, it's mild by comparison, but as they say, it's good to be known for something.
Did your parents get what you were doing?
No, they didn't. I mean, they were happy. They got me piano lessons when I was 5, and they were happy I was playing French horn in the high school band and that kind of thing. But they said, you need a real job. I went to college to follow my dad's scientific footsteps and, supposedly as a physics major. My father was an electrical engineer, PhD, and physicist who designed the first camera that took live pictures from the moon when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon.
Wow.
One giant step for mankind. That was my dad's camera. He led the design team at Westinghouse that built that for NASA. And so I was supposedly following in his footsteps, but I guess I felt on one hand like I could never live up to him, to his knowledge and skill with all that. So plus I was really turned on by music. My dad was a mediocre classical violinist, but we all sang in choir. We sang, my brothers and I and my parents sang in the car on the way to family vacation, but I just found music to be the thing that really excited me right from, when I was a kid. And when I started to talk about dropping out of college to play in bands and go play at this club in Georgetown on M Street, and then at Greenwich Village, taking a Greyhound to Greenwich Village and getting a gig at the Cafe Wa for $6 a night and all the potato chips I could eat, my parents were just frightened for me. It was also like, they thought I was throwing my life away, and they told me that.
Yeah.
And I had some other relatives. I had one aunt, my fabulous Aunt Connie, who said to me when I was sitting at her table, literally crying and saying, nobody understands that this is all I want to do. She said, well, if that's how you feel, then do it. And, at least I had one relative from that generation.
You were 19 you just turned 19 in the summer of love in 67. What were you doing?
Well, when I was 18, I was playing at the Cafe Wa in Greenwich Village with a band called Kangaroo. And when I was 19, I believe I was making, and we were releasing a record, the only record that existed of that band, Kangaroo, on MGM Records. We did 2 gigs. Our grand tour to promote the album was the Cafe Wa in front of a bunch of teeny boppers who were in an underage non-alcoholic club where Kangaroo was alternating sets with Bruce Springsteen's band, the Castiles, and the kids were coming from New Jersey or Long Island to just fill up on potato chips and milkshakes and sodas. But so we played there, and then we went to Las Vegas, played the MGM Records convention, and then from there to the Singer Bowl at the World's Fairgrounds in New York to open for the Who and the Doors, and then back to the Cafe Wa. That was the whole thing. But that all took place when I was 19.
You opened for the Who and the Doors?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a small world, and especially with technology now, things really tend to come back to you. And I was well, back, I was a couple of years later, Johanna and I were signed to Albert Grossman's publishing company, Fourth Floor Music. And Albert, of course, was managing the band and Bob Dylan and Janis and all these other, Paul Butterfield Blues Band and on and on. But his publicist, at this point, I was probably 23 or 24, but he had this lovely young lady doing publicity for all of his bands. And I was talking to her one time, and somehow we got to talking about this concert. And she said, "Oh yeah, I was a fan. I was in the front row and I passed out, and I wound up, waking up with smelling salts underneath the stands in the first aid area of the World's Fair Singer Bowl." And I had been standing, we had a dressing room that was basically curtained off in the girders where people would come in under the stands to go to the first aid area. And I saw a number of mainly young ladies being carted in on stretchers who had passed out when Jim Morrison started to take his clothes off, I guess. And eventually he got dragged off the stage by the cops. But I said to her, "I was right there when you were carried by. I saw this blonde girl go by on a stretcher." And then years later, somebody, just within the last year, I think, somebody sent me a video that somebody had taken with a camera back then in a Super 8 or whatever they were using, that has me in it for a second and shows these stretchers coming in and is talking. And there's a little bit of footage of actually Jim Morrison in the audience talking to some of the fans. And just like, how can you make this stuff up?
What a moment in time.
I know. I should figure out a way to put that up on my Facebook page or website or what have you, Instagram, if it's not already up there, which it probably is.
The song with Darrell Williams, the duet, like you mentioned a while ago, "Save the Monarchs." Immediately I went to that song and Future Ex-Wife. When I had the list of all the songs, I'll look at all the album titles, usually if I get downloads, and I'll check them out. Tell me about, maybe we can go a little deeper and Save the Monarchs.
Sure. Yeah, well, Save the Monarch is another of one of my environmental songs that is really a prayer. I really wrote it to be singing to the deity, singing to God, however one pictures, whatever your belief is of a higher power. And there are biblical, passages in there. Save them. I wanted it to sound or look at first like God Save the Queen, those poor royals. But it's Save the Monarch butterfly. The king is King Condor. But Save the Queen is the queen of the honeybees. And the bridge is, it has been written, "You gave us dominion over things that crawl the earth, swim the sea, or soar the sky. Forgive your people who know not what they do. Lift the veil from our eyes." And it's just, I think we need that. The problem is that we're living in the same environment that our children and our grandchildren and children and grandchildren will be living in, the same environment that all these other species are living in, who are now, a lot of them, threatened with extinction because of the changes that humans have wrought on this planet. And it may seem now like it's fine if a butterfly or a whale or some species goes extinct, but it's all going to come back to us humans as well. And I think it's people are starting to realize that. But it's a shame that it's taken this long to realize. Anyway, so that, Dar and I had done a lot of work together, including benefits for environmental causes. And she lived south on the Hudson, the shore, west or east bank of the Hudson River, a little further south than Woodstock or Poughkeepsie, that area. So, she and I were involved with the Hudson River Sloop Clearwater, for instance, Pete Seeger's environmental organization and sailing vessel. And she did a great job singing it and totally got what it was about.
Reclaiming My Time is the brand new album from John Hall. There'll be links in the description of this video where you can pick up the album. Make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. And we don't say this enough, buy a t-shirt, help support our channel. We really appreciate it when you basically wear our emblem proudly. There are many different t-shirt sizes, many different styles. You can pick them all up. Links in the description. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Music.